same prefix, and you're saying I'm sending in time. Okay, then you do a post effect on apply, effect set float time to this time. Okay, you bind this variable into it, and then if ascending is true, you get the scene's animation ratio and get the lesser of time, or 0.5. And then when you reach to 0.5, okay, so it never reaches 1, you only go to 0.5. So it'll go from 0 to 0.5 and then say ascending false. And then if ascending is false, then you start subtracting, you make time smaller and smaller until it gets down to 0, and then you deregister yourself. So, and then you register before render ascend. But that led to some unwanted pixelization, so I switched to using the fog, where I just push some keys in here, start at 0, go to 1, and then go to back to 0 over a certain frame rate, and then just animate the fog density, giving it a fog color. But what I don't like about that is it interferes with actual fog, and if you have things that aren't meshes, they don't get covered by fog. So I posted on the Babylon forum, and I got a pretty good example of how this can be done with a tint. So let's examine that together. So here they're flashing this red, and here is the tint fragment shader. Precision high P float, I don't know what that's for, it doesn't seem to be used. And you have a sampler 2D and a vector 2. And I think these are your parameters. You can set a tint color and a float time, and then you just say that base color, okay, this is the color that you're at, and then you're going to mix base color with the tint color, and okay, so this will keep just doing sine time, and so as long as this is installed, it will do this. Okay, but I'd rather have more control outside of it, so maybe make an adjustment here. But this is cool, so you can mix it. So a sine of time, if time just keeps going up, this is going to fluctuate between -1 and 1. So you're constantly multiplying this thing between values of -1 and 1. So the greatest it can be is 0.5, and the least it can be is 0.25 minus 0.2, which is 0. So between 0 and 0.5. Okay, gotcha. So if we just remove and passed in a value that is between 0.5, it'll be mixed up to that, and then it'll descend and go down. Then this creates a tint process on the camera. Is that how we added the post process before on the camera? Post process here was this scene active camera. Okay. And then on apply, you can set the tint color. Okay, so if we wanted this to be, let's say, green. Alright, float's green. How about gray? Okay, it's very cool. Okay, so I like this thing. So why don't we just call this a color overlay? Whew. Okay, so where is damage overlay used and how is it used? So let's look for all cases of damage overlay. It's instantiated in the scene manager here. Oh, and it just listens to internal messages, I believe. So here we just listen to, okay, member damaged. All right. So it can listen to member damaged and member died. Okay, so let's give it some okay, that was the old fragment shader. Let's give it a new fragment shader. So we'll copy this thing. Copy. And paste that here. So we have the effect shader and we'll call it tint fragment shader is fine. So all of this is fine except I don't want this to be sign time. So I want this just to be time. Save that. Okay, now what? Now we create this as a post process and set the tint time to be 0 and all of that. Okay, copy that. Now the way I was doing before is that when we receive a message, we flash the overlay. And so you would install this over here. So let's say set tint So what kind of API? I want to be able to say tint rise up and tint descend. Okay, I think I can do this. So we'll comment this out for now. Or actually, let's just make a simpler one. Signal hub. Actually, just assign it in the scene manager. Let's call a method. So let's call this first. Let's rename it to the tint overlay, and say this tint overlay is this. And then we'll rename this file to be tint overlay. Rename this to the tint overlay. Whoops. Yeah, I can move this over to move this. I think it still matter. Tint overlay. Now, why do we need the member ID? Are we using that? Yes, I suppose. It's on us. Okay. And scene manager, we need to create a tint overlay from tint overlay, and then give it a okay, so now we have a tint overlay. And the API that I want is that you can call something like tint up, give it a color, which is a, let's say, Babylon color 3, and kind of speed. And then give back some kind of promise when you're done. So promise promise of any when you're done. Okay? And then tint down, it'll just remove the program. Or well, you'll animate down, so you'll have a speed, and that's a number, and you'll also give a promise when you're done. Promise. Okay. In the tint up, we want to install the tint process. So tint post process is the name. Tint color and time are variables, and it's this scene active camera. This is called tint fragment shader and tint post process. Is that how these are connected? Tint fragment shader. I guess it's just this tint means this tint fragment shader. This can be anything. Okay, so we install this, we set the tint time, and we set the tint color is going to be this color here with full alpha. Okay, and time is this. Alright, so we're sending this into the fragment shader. And then what do? Then they did a register before render to start adding some value to tint time. And we had something like that here as well. We said ascending true. Okay, so we're not going to descend in here, but we will do ascend true. And okay, we put this into a function register before render. So it would go up, and then you needed to move it down. So we need to control the time, the same time variable up and down. So I think we need to move time into a larger function. So let's set the time variable to be here, public time, and it's a number. And so when we bind this thing, we'll bind not tint time, but this time will be 0, and we'll set this to be this time. Okay, then we'll do So we want to register before render, and then when we get to a spot, we want to pause the process of going up, and then if tint down is called, then we'll go downward. So we need a, okay, so I guess whenever you tint up, that's when you create the program, right? So here was our program. We're going to tint up. So we can say ascending is this ascending. Public ascending becomes a boolean. And let's just set these constructors to be this time is 0 to begin with, and this ascending can be true to begin with. And anyway, when you tint up, you want to let this ascending to be true anyway. So if this ascending is true, then this time, I'm going to add it by the rate. Okay, so this controls how fast you're going to go. And so we'll multiply this by a speed. And by default, the speed was 0.03. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit to the time, and then time is the minimum between, so that means as you're going up, take time as long as it's less than 0.5. So this becomes time. This time is this time. And if this time equals 5, then this ascending equals false. So it won't go any higher than this. So what happens when you run this program? You're going to run this program, it's going to go up, 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 and then it's going to stop. So how do I return my callback? I need to return a promise that I await for, but can I do it in this register before render? I think I might be able to actually, if I make a closure all around this. What are you going to use for tint down? Because you're not ascending anymore, this just made you stop. So maybe it's a three-way thing. So mode is either ascending. Let's just do this. Ascending or it's descending, or hold. So let's say you want ascending mode. Okay. When you tint up, mode is ascending, and if this mode is equal to ascending, then you do that. Otherwise, this mode becomes equal to hold. Yeah, we need to maintain the post process in order to keep it there. Okay, if mode is descending, else if this mode is descending, then this time equals that times the speed. And this time gets less than 0, this time is 0, and then you just deregister yourself. So it's going to happen. When you do this, it's going to install this as a program. This is on, and then it's going to go up, 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 and hold it. And then that's when we need to release a command that says, now call the other thing. Let's just say these are constant for now. So the program remains installed until... But what if you call this multiple times? So you should ignore it if our mode is ascending, descending, hold, or it's none. Mode, no tint. No tint. This is hold the tint, ascending tint, descending tint. Let's just call this tint then. The tint is ascending, descending, holding, or none. Mode becomes none in the beginning. Tint. So tint up, you set the tint to be ascending, yeah. First of all, if this tint is equal to, if it's not equal to none, then just return. Okay, that protects us. Okay, then we go, we send it to ascending as long, okay, we install a program. as long as the tint is ascending, we go up and then set the tint to what? Holding. And if the tint is descending, then you go down, 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 and then if you get all the way down to 0, say this tint becomes none. You go all the way up, it's holding. If the tint is told to be descending, it starts subtracting, and then you get back to none. And then you deregister yourself. But how would we know when to invoke tint down? So we could put this whole thing in a promise, right? Register before render. When it gets up to holding, we could send ourselves a message. Yeah, we could do that. Send ourselves a message that says, we're tinted. I think this is a good case for a behavior subject. So maybe this is, tint is a kind of import a behavior subject from our strings. Tint is a behavior subject of this kind, and so what's wrong with this? Okay, so the tint is equal to a new behavior subject of, in the beginning it is none. Okay, and then we need to read its value. So if this tint dot, I guess, value or get value, okay, if this tint value is equal to none, is not equal to none, don't do it, don't do anything. And here we're setting tint to be ascending, so this tint next ascending. We're telling people we're going up, and then we're solving from it. If this tint value is ascending, tint next becomes holding. This value is descending, tint next goes back to none. Alright, so that is something we can listen to. When you go into holding, so we install this program. And no need for a promise. We only need this. Oops. So tint up, give a color. Speed isn't honored yet, but this will take you to red or whatever color. And then if you want to tint down, you can only tint down if you're holding. So if this tint value is not equal to holding, then you can't go down. Otherwise, you can go down. Just set this tint value, or sorry, tint next with descending. Because this thing's checking all the time, right? So if this thing goes to descending, you'll start going down, 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 down. Then you'll be none, and then that will put together a value into that thing. So let's try it out. So if we go, and also here we do tint post-process samples. This is what helped set registry for renders. Okay. Okay, let's see if our server reacts to this. So we need to go to scene manager, color or overlay, tint overlay dot tint up, the color, and speed don't care, tint up. And what happened? This whole thing failed. Set color 4. Color 3, I like color 3 alpha. Time is time 0. Okay, let's inspect. What is the tint value it's holding? Okay. Oh, I see any color here. Okay, what if, can I do tint down? And what is the tint value now? It's back to none, so I think this kind of works. Tint fragment shader, tint color, and time. We're mixing this with time. Time equals 0, tint post-process. Is it maybe this thing? Tint overlay, go tint up, and let's just give it maybe Babylon color 3 and red. Okay. don't know what happened there. Okay, let's make this that sign thing so we don't have to worry about this. Let's just say plus sign time and we'll use 0.25 multiply. So that's what we had before. Nope. Something else is going on. So what if we didn't use this and we use tint fragment shader here? Went black. Okay, but tint color and time. So we'll just set time and no tint color. Okay, if we can't figure it out, let's save the work, but okay, comment this out. Last time we're commenting this out. So all we have is tint up and tint down. Okay, this is just not going to do anything right now. Okay, we have a tint fragment shader. Okay, let's copy it exactly from the example. We've got this tint fragment shader. And in fact, let's just put it in. Okay, this might be put in the active tint. So where are we putting this? When is this created? Tint overlay, new tint. Okay, it's created after the camera is created. It should be fine. Okay, new tint overlay. So we'll just do exactly this. Grab this, right? Copy, paste, and then never mind about that stuff. We'll just go ahead and take all of this, copy, and paste. is going to be this scene and this scene active camera. So it's gray. Let's make this red. Alright, so if we just save this. Okay, that works. Okay, so let's change one thing at a time. First, make it triggered by our function. So all we'll do is move this into a function. So we'll cut this, put this into tint up. And return. Tint up. Okay, so that works. Now, it was setting the tint time, so let's change the tint time into this time. So it'll be this time, this time, this time. Ah, so that's the issue. Ah. It's the closure of what is this. So we need to do on apply like that. Bingo. It's the closure business. Okay, so I think we can bring our stuff back. Just take this stuff away. This. Time. Does it go up? And then I'll do that. Tint up. Excellent. Tint down. Tint down. Didn't go all the way down. Tint up. Oh, of course. Tint in the mix started at 0.25. So if this is going to go down, oh wait a minute, yeah, this sign is not my function here, was it? This is supposed to be just time, where time can also be negative. Actually, what are we putting for time? Time starts at 0. When ascending, time gets to be 5. And then time gets to be 0. So you're going from a max of 5 to 0. Now it seems like the mix is going to go from 0 to 1, because that was what, if I undo, that's what this does. If you have a positive 1 here, this makes 0.5. But when it's negative, it's 0. So it would, yeah, we only want it to go from 0 to 5. So we can just put in, let's not call it time, let's call it mix. Except mix is already variable, so let's call it tint amount. Tint amount instead of time. Float will become tint amount. Save that. Let's also just call this tint mode because you have a lot of tint going around. Anyway, tint amount, not time. Tint amount. Tint amount. So tint amount is 0. This tint amount. We're ascending. Added by a certain amount. This tint amount. Maximum of 5. Yes, that makes sense. And if the tint amount is equal to 5, it reached 5, then say holding. And then if we're going to go down, this becomes tint amount. If the tint amount is less than 0, tint amount becomes 0, send that down the pipe. Okay, let's see what this does. Tint up red. Did nothing. What happened here? Tint amount here. And this should be tint amount here. Tint up. Tint down. Yay! Okay, so to make it flash, you'll do this, which is this tint subscribe. Hold on, first you'll tint up this tint up to Babylon vector 3 red. Color 3 red. Then you'll subscribe subscribe to the mode, and if mode equals holding, you got to holding, then say this tint next descending, which is actually what this does, right? So you could just say this tint down. Tint up, tint down by speed, and yeah, I guess I can make speed also a class variable. since you're already bound in a certain context. So this allows you to flash it. It'll go up and then down. So let's emit some damage. Incoming. That's my member ID. The scene manager member ID is this. That's my member ID. And then so signal hub, incoming, emit, event, and message is what's the event name member damage? Event name member damaged is 1060, and the payload is member ID, which is member ID. What else? That's it. Cool. So now when we're looking upwards, even this part gets red, whereas before it didn't get red here. It looks like it's getting red up to 100% and more. Why is that? Do we actually ever reset the tint? What is the tint amount now? Tint amount is 0. Why does the mix go past 50% though? Let's console log out. Oh wait. Do we have to remove the post effect? Post process is on. You're adding another post process every single time. So maybe you should remove the post process. And how do we do that? Babylon just remove post process. Attach post process. One or more times in the same camera. Detach. I guess I can just move this out. Tint process. The only thing that uses is this. But it's applied. I guess you can change the color. And you could just leave it on. Or how do you remove it? I'm going to do some research. I found this blurb from this book here. It says remove and retrieving post-process, just camera detach post-process, or you can just dispose of that effect. So we can do, once it gets down, we can just do dispose on tint post-process. So what I'm expecting to see is when we say up and down a couple times, it won't get redder and redder. It should only go up to 50%. It seems about right. It never totally covers. How does this look? Side by side. Stereo effect, yes. And back. So if we work outside, exit immersive. How does this looks very, very smooth, and then when we're animating this stuff, it gets very pixelated during that. Oh, let's put this samples in there. And that looks way better. Okay, I would say this is a success, and let's see if it works out. So now, when we get a message from here, we go to tint up, we subscribe just one time. I want to subscribe one time, so I want to pipe, and then I want to filter, which is the mode. How do I do this? It's a function, mode, and the mode must equal to holding. Let's do it like this, and then if that's true, I don't want to take just one, so it will unsubscribe itself, and then I don't need this. Okay, so I think I can get rid of this, and clean up some of this. Tint up, tint down. I don't need these damage overlays. Okay, so if we're going into, let's see, which one of these has something that attacks me? Let's try this one. Okay, it's going to attack me. Oh, yep, working. Attacking, attacking. Okay, so we could do another thing where if you died, then do a holding, and then that's a good idea. So we can say member died, if I'm the one that died. Have I died? Subscribe, and then this tint up for Babylon color 3 gray, let's say, and then wait for 5 seconds, I guess, or wait for a respawn. Remember, respawn, then tint down. Alright, let's get killed. One. I died, but oh, wait, because the what is it? So if you get incoming on member died, and we're the one that died, tint up with this color, and it'll go into holding. And it didn't do anything, so let's try this again. Does tint up not work for gray? We know that it works. Tint up for green or gray. And I can't trip over here. Tint up. Oh, it's so little bit of gray. Okay, tint. Maybe we want green. Wait, go to a place where I can't be attacked. Let's just... That just looks like a sheen. It didn't actually desaturate anything, which makes sense. So I think green probably makes more sense. We gotta tint down first. We can't tint up when we're already up. So we'll do green. Let's see it better. So we'll go... is it this one? Where's my green? I can only assume that the message here wasn't received. Because I'm being attacked, maybe the tint up didn't work. So whatever you have on there, you'll want to subscribe to the next so tint up should return a boolean and a false, and if you can't tint up, yeah, tint up return false, otherwise return true, and tint down return false or return true. So if this tint down, if you want tint up, the result of this is tint down. So if this tint, if result was false, then subscribe one time to a so it could mean you're ascending, you're descending, you're doing all sorts of things, right? So we want to wait for the next holding. Next holding or next none. So let's console log something I like with being attacked. Console log died, because you should do something, and then just console log this tint value. Okay, died, and the value was async at that time. Okay, so we want to subscribe for the next holding or down. And I think we should just need the down one, right? So none. So I'll basically interrupt when I can, is what this says. I died, So I'm going to subscribe for the next none, and as soon as I get this, I'm interrupting and I'm saying, oh yeah, I'm green, which means even if you get damaged, you can't flash me with red because you can't tint up. And then I don't really need the result. Come on, show me that it works this time. So there's a bug when you get right on top, wake up right on top, this guy's stuck. Show me green. Yeah, cool. Okay, respawn, but you gotta put me down this, okay? So tint down. Okay, why didn't this work? Remember, respawned. Remember, respawned. Member ID. Which it should be holding. So let's console log here. Console log. Respawned. And then this tint value. Tint down won't go down unless it's holding. But we should be holding. It's in holding. Respawn holding. This tint down. Let me see. Tint down. It came back up. Why? So you set descending to down, which will call this thing. This will go down. If this tint amount is less than 0, then go tint amount back to 0, and you'll say tint is none. Oh, but this thing sees that the tint you subscribed to none, but you only want to do this one time. That's what it is. Pipe. And filter the mode, and the mode must equal to none, and we must then take just one. That's what it was, is that this was permanently installed. So by doing the take one inside the subscription, it will only do it once per subscribe, not be permanently attached. Same with this one, and now it should be fixed. Come on now. In 15 seconds, we will be respond. Yes. Okay. Save it.